That's what, the NWA TV show. Did I ever tell this story? I don't think I did, because last time I thought of it, I was still in good graces with Liver Lip Lagana. But the NWA show was what they were thinking was going to end up on the network.
Who was thinking?
Dave Lagana was there. I wasn't thinking it. No, going back all the way, the anniversary show they did in Nashville, the NWA, in October of 2018 at the Nashville Fairgrounds. Both Jeff Jarrett and Lagana had called me about that. Jeff, because he was doing the live promotion for the live event in Nashville right there. And he was handling that. And they got the biggest crowd, or biggest gate at least, they'd ever had in that building for it. And Lagana obviously was handling the show for the NWA. And well, he and Billy Corgan are the NWA, so he was handling the show. And so they both called me. And that's how I got started doing the commentary. And we made a deal at that time. I'll go ahead, since I don't give a fuck anymore, I'll go ahead and tell everybody what my business was. I said, okay, it's Nashville. It's 180 miles down the road. Work at the fairgrounds again. He was bringing in some of the legends. We're going to have a VIP meet and greet. I had NWA memorabilia and stuff where they could do the history packages on both Nashville and the NWA in general. So I made a deal with Lagana and Jeff that Lagana could come up and shoot some promos with me to promote the event, and he could shoot some of my memorabilia for B-roll and background, and that I'd come down and do the VIP meet and greet thing with the other legends that they had, and also do the commentary. And because it was something that, okay, I like the NWA, I like Nashville, it's not that far. I'll do all that stuff. Give me $2,500. I said, I'll even get my own hotel. I'll use points and get a place right in North Nashville instead of where they were staying, because it's easier for me on the way back home, right? And so that's what we did. And, of course, we talked about the show when it happened. It was an okay show live. The production was chaos, and it was a horrible experience, not only trying to watch it, but trying to call it, because the audio guy called in sick that morning, and the audio was shite through the whole thing. And, the underneath matches were rushed, but the people had a good time. And the main event, which was Aldous and Cody, was fucking fabulous. But, so I did that and didn't think anything more of it, except, they announced that night, we're going to bring the Crockett Cup back. So I told Lagana had asked me, he said, well, we're going to do the Crockett Cup. I said, well, when you figure it out, let me know. So then earlier in the year of 2019, he calls me, okay, the Crockett Cup's going to be in Charlotte. And this time we're partnering with Ring of Honor. We're going to use their equipment. And I was told, obviously, that Ring of Honor didn't have the same equipment that it did when I was there. They actually finally got good shit, right? I said, okay. And then now Charlotte's farther than Nashville, but he's going to bring the Midnight Express, do the Legends thing, and the Rock and Roll Express is working with the Briscoes. And it's still the NWA Crockett Cup, and I have all the history. I said, all right, come up and shoot some promos, get some B-roll stuff on Crockett Cup history. I'll come to Charlotte, the same thing, $2,500, just get my hotel this time, because I'm going to have to be down there for a couple of days, because it's not just a 3-hour down and back like Nashville. And I realize for some people say, okay, $2,500, that ain't bad. $2,500 is the less money than I have left my house for anybody for quite a while now. Just so you know. And yes, I am aware that did make me the highest paid talent on the NWA roster, except for Nick Aldis. But they're asking me, I'm not asking them. I'm doing them a favor by doing all these things for that, because I was interested. So for the Crockett Cup, I go down, I do not only the VIP meet and greet with the Midnight Express and all the other legends, but a Q&A with Billy Corgan. I do the promos to promote the thing that they shot here, give them the B-roll, announce the fucking show, and produce, I think, 2 of the matches, including the Briscoes and the Rock and Roll Express, to make sure that, that was as good as we all wanted it to be, and work the production meeting with them. Because here's the thing about production meetings also. Production meetings are usually the person in charge of creative or the person in charge of production or whatever. Some nominated person reads through the format for all the crew. I'm talking about the production crew and the people in the truck and the camera people and the various everybody, not the wrestlers, but the production crew. And during that read through, everybody asks the questions that they need to ask for what they need to know. Well, when you get Jim Cornette on a television production, a part of the thing is you get him in the production meeting. And that's why they liked it in MLW, and that's why they liked it in the NWA, and et cetera, because since I've been in 10,000 of them and I've run a lot of them, I know the questions to ask. And I've been there in the same place. When you've written this and you've gone over this in your mind a million times, you know exactly what it's supposed to look like, and you're reading it to other people that they're hearing for the first time, then you may not be as detailed or as explanatory as they may need to know exactly what the fuck. And sometimes these people don't want to just pop up the audio, A2, the second audio guy doesn't want to just pop up and interrupt things to make sure he knows what's going on. So I interject by asking the questions that I believe that different departments might need clarification on if I think that they weren't clarified. Does that make sense? So I kind of help facilitate the production meeting. Anyway, did all that for the Crockett Cup, plus the goddamn drive down there was fucking insane because you can't hardly get to fucking Charlotte anymore with the traffic and the construction. But I do all that as $2,500 in a hotel. And then he started talking about, well, we're going to do a TV show. I said, what do you mean, Dave? He said, well, we're going to start doing TV. I said, well, what would it be on? Well, we're not sure yet, but we think it might be on the WWE network. I said, what? He did have meetings, unless he was just bald-faced lying to me. He had meetings to talk to them about. I said, do you honestly believe that the WWF is going to put an NWA television show on their network? Well, they might. Well, we're talking about it. Whatever. I said, okay. I said, let me know, Dave, if something comes up, right? And once I caught him, he started talking to me like he talks to everybody else. When he wants to get him on his side, he's like, well, there could be quite a few or quite a number of dates for you out of this. Like, trying to get me involved. I'm like, whoa, slow down, cowboy. You're scaring me off. A pay-per-view once in a while is one thing, but fucking, I'm not going to do a weekly TV. And I wasn't going to goddamn tell him everything I wasn't going to do because I didn't actually believe that this was going to happen, that they were going to have a TV show on the WWE network at least. But I said, slow down, cowboy. A lot of dates would scare me off. I'd be glad to help you intermittently, but let's see what, where, when, and how often this is going to be, right? So a couple of times, not like weekly, but a few times during the course of the year, he's calling and telling me, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And finally, he called, he said, well, we're going to do it on YouTube. Okay. But he said, that's when he told me it was going to be a studio show and that it was going to be done in Atlanta and that they were going to shoot 6 or 8 weeks at a time. And that's how I got involved in that, because it's okay. Once every 6 or 8 weeks, I could go to Atlanta for a couple days. And, it's the NWA studio. And I believe I mentioned to you when we first started plugging that it was going to happen. I said, I've got to go see a studio wrestling show done again, whether it's great or shits or anything in between. I want to see what's going to fucking happen, right? So that's when we finally went down there and did the fucking 2 days of taping in Atlanta. And I told him, I didn't even negotiate with him because I said the same thing. I know they don't have a unlimited resources. And if I hadn't been interested in doing the thing to begin with, then the money wouldn't have made any difference. I wouldn't have done it at all. So I said, just give me the $2,500 twice, Dave, for 2 days and my hotel. Okay. He said, I'll do that. Yes, absolutely. Because I wasn't doing this as a goddamn livelihood. That's another reason why that I was, pissed off with after the chicken joke when, after all year of, well, we want you involved and you can do it. You can do the first tapings. You don't have to commit to everything, blah, blah, blah. And of course I signed nothing because I don't sign contracts anymore. But that's why I was pissed off when, as soon as I go and do this. And by the way, that set of tapings in Atlanta was a fucking physically demanding set for me. I drive down one day, I drove down on a Saturday. I go Sunday to check out the fucking studio and to see the lay of the land and to get the formats and see what's going on so that I can prep and be ready for Monday. And then Monday, the production meeting's like 11 o'clock in the morning in downtown Atlanta. And I don't get out till 11 o'clock that night, and I'm having a midnight fucking meal at Waffle House. And the next day, same thing, production meeting, 11 o'clock in the morning. and then a meal at the Waffle House at midnight, and calling 8 hours of wrestling, and coming up with finishes, producing 2 or 3 matches each night, and kibitzing in the fucking production meeting to make sure everybody had their shit straight for the same fucking $2,500 a day. And then everybody, oh, it's great. It's so great. It's so great. Until old Liver Lip gets blowback from Twitter from all the cosplay wrestling fans because I told a joke. And then suddenly it's, well, instead of, as we talked about, well, Jim Cornette told an old joke and we left it in because we knew he didn't mean anything bad by it, but we both apologized. We won't do it again. Instead, it's, oh, Cornette was offensive and I'll never let that happen again. Well, fuck you. That's why I fucking basically answered the phone, fuck you. Well, I answered the phone, Popeye's chicken, when he called the next day. And then I said, basically, fuck you. Because I was minding my own business in my home again. And he browbeat me and fucking cajoled me and fucking, wanted me to do all these things. And I was doing it for less money than I would do anything for anybody else for. And he fucking wants to bury me because he has no balls. And he made a mistake and he couldn't own up to it. So whatever the fuck. But anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, yes. So originally the WWE or the NWA show was going to be on the WWE network. And then that didn't work out. And then they put it on YouTube. I don't see anything out there that could possibly be added to the WWE network that would make it more valuable now that they've set the price at $9.95 a month for everything that's ever been put on tape. Do you?
I don't know what they're going to do. I think it was probably a mistake to put all the pay-per-views on there in the beginning because now you got people used to it.
What you think?
Now you can't pull them off there.
Yeah. WrestleMania, for fuck's sake. Keep everything on there, but WrestleMania, they lost tens of millions just putting WrestleMania on there for fucking free.
Since we're fully disclosing things about the NWA, can I say something?
Go ahead.
I warned you he was an untrustworthy weasel long before the chicken joke.
You did that.
I told you. And I think he's a liability. And I think all you have to do is go Google the stories about why he left the WWE in the first place. And there are more stories that I've heard from other people. I think he is someone who is desperate to paint himself in a good light. That's why he dives into the DMs of anyone who he thinks is a wrestling influencer on Twitter. That's why my DMs
By the way, influencer. You have a lot of these people. That twat that does fucking promos now for Impact. I'm an influencer. Who the fuck are these people influencing?
Well, that's why my DMs are closed.
Influence a fucking blind possum to cross the fucking road.
Well, by the way, that's why my DMs are closed, so no one can fucking get to me with this shit.
Can influence you.
He's always trying to paint himself in a positive light to Dave Meltzer, which is apparent anytime you read anything about the NWA in the fucking Observer. And I just think he's a social media manager, and I hate to call Billy Corgan a money mark, but he's a social media manager who found, for lack of a better term, a money mark. I don't think he's very creative.
Well, wait a minute. I will allow you to continue to malign Dave Lagana in 1 second. Billy Corgan isn't a money mark because Billy Corgan hadn't spent a ton of money in the overall scheme of things on this, and he's got a pretty decent plan. And even though he didn't, I can see why he wouldn't tell Dave Lagana, what the fuck are you doing? Because Dave Lagana does all the work. So, you can't, but at the same time, Lagana's the one, and you did say he was a weasel, but I feel, well, but he's my weasel. He's a weasel trying to talk me into doing things and being nice to me. So what's
He's a weasel and a liability, and moderately creative at best. And I think
I haven't seen that.
And I think that the idea of a modern studio show is a really good idea if done right. And there are elements that they've done right, and there are elements they have completely blown because Dave Lagana will never get the plot. And again, I said all these things to you long before. I didn't say them on the air because I never say anything about people you do business with while you're doing business with them. But I said all this.
Well, you don't have to worry about that coming up. We'll talk about it later on in the program. Yeah, I'm about fucking fed up with everybody. But anyway, we didn't mean to go off on this being an entire anti-Lagana thing. We'll do that show in another time. But yeah,